ultimately, when you have multiple locations, you are dividing your times. That's what you're doing. And unless your structure is completely working for you, you're going to constantly working for the businesses and running around and not having having a hand in too many pies is in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've met a lot of people who, when they're losing that control, they become micromanagers for the tiniest little things that actually, in a bigger scale, are not that important.
Yeah, and I think that if the structure of it is not set correctly, you know, with either a manager in each location or you've got an overall area manager, you know, if you're going to have multiple locations, you cannot think that you can do that on your own or just with a right-hand man as such. It just doesn't happen. And I think what happens as well when you have multiple locations is that you're almost a serial multiple locationer. You know what I mean? You end up wanting more and more, don't you?
Yes. Yes, we do, isn't it? It's like, but yeah, I was talking to someone actually who's already got 3 locations, and she's thinking, well, at the moment everything is a bit cheaper because obviously people are selling cheaper than they would. So I'm just going to get a 4th one. Now, I don't mind it so much with this particular client because she's very organized. She's got someone in the head office. She's got we're starting working on the call center.
Yeah.
So then that makes sense, and then I'm not so kind of worried for her.
Yeah.
As long as ultimately when you add another location, there's all of the structures and the policies in place and everything else, isn't it? But getting another location for the sake of, there's always that danger zone, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, there's definitely good to having multiple locations. We've seen it be very successful. But you have to become even stricter on things like your stock management, and because what we've seen happen with multiple locations as well is that the stock gets shipped from here to here to here, and then they borrow it from them, and it can get very messy. And if you don't know exactly, if you're just buying and then it's kind of getting divided out as and when, you can't clearly see a picture for each business.
Yeah, that's
which
the thing.
You really need to understand, because if one is pulling the others down, you won't know that unless you're analysing each one individually. But I think the main thing about it is that, you know, it's hard enough owning one business.
Yes. So really think carefully.
So because it's again one of those things that the idea of it sounds amazing, and because you've been successful in one, it doesn't always mean that the second location will be, because you know the demographics will be different, your clientele will be different, therefore do you need a different treatment list in that particular one? I mean, you know, obviously franchises they do all the same thing as such, but
yeah, I'm always a little bit wary about franchises, in particular for the beauty or the hair industry. Perhaps has been a bit more, I guess, successful in beauty. I think franchises is so tricky in many ways. So I'm always a little bit more skeptical, I guess, when it comes to franchises. And is it, I remember talking to someone, he wasn't in the hair and beauty industry, he was in retail, and he had 40 locations. Out of 40 locations, he had 32 of them being franchises. And he was like, Valerie, I cannot wait for the contract to finish with all my franchisee. You think you're going to have the money coming in and that's it, that's all you have to worry about. You don't have the control, they can do what they want, you're losing the brand ethos. So I mean, we're going on a different subject of franchise, but it just showed you that what you think is going to be a lot easier actually is not necessarily. So unless you've got a proper strategy, a business plan, and you understand your structure, then you will kind of be the victim of this constant firefighting. And I'm thinking of a particular client who basically is still getting the text messages for when someone phones off sick.
Yes, and they've got 3 or 4 locations.
Yeah. And then you're thinking, why are you getting those messages? Why is it not your managers? Oh, well, this and that. Well, this and that. The one of the main issues is that eventually you will, well, either burn out or you'll run out of kind of energy and cash to build that empire.
Yes.
Because you're constantly on a day-to-day operation, isn't it? And if you're doing this multiple location, and why you're feeling constantly pulled left, right and centre is because you shouldn't be in operation.
No. And what we've seen happen with that as well is that, one of them starts to fail slightly.
Yeah.
So your focus is drawn all to that one because, you have to, that one's, and then the others are left.
Yeah.
And then, so unless you have got that real strong team in each individual location, I think thinking that you can do it when your structure isn't set in the first one is a bit of a dangerous game to play.
Yeah, and we've seen as well, quite a while ago, I remember dealing with someone who basically was relying on that one key person. And that one key person eventually felt pregnant, went on maternity leave, so everything went back to the business owner because there was no kind of structure falling back to what happens next, because we're relying on that amazing person.
Yeah.
She was incredible. But when that happens, it tends to be such a micromanagement that no one else can do the role because we didn't know exactly what she did.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was, of course, it's going to go back to, well, hopefully she's going to come back, but that's a whole year before she's going to come back.
If they come back.
They come back. So that's just adding more stress into something that could be avoided if you've got the structure, the who does what, when and how. And for me, if you are a multi-site owner, there's an element of choose and pick your days, really, ultimately, isn't it? Work, okay, on a Monday it's going to be admin, on a Friday I'm going to take the day, I'm going to work 4 days a week because I can, and I've got the team behind me that's going to do absolutely everything behind. But a lot of time we just feel we need to kind of gather all the babies together and just firefight, and it just doesn't work, does it? No.
So ultimately, if you're considering opening up another location, or you want to have that multiple site thing, what would you say then is the first step?
I say the first step is you've got to have, the budget numbers.
Yes.
Budget numbers. I think you also have to have a solid cash flow behind.
Yeah.
Because I think what we've seen when someone opens a second location, they're underestimating how much is going back to what it was when you first opened the first one.
Yeah,
you need
whole
to
new
ramp up the whole kind of clients coming into the salon, get to be known, the marketing, the hours that you put at the beginning of starting your business. Well, that's what you've forgotten, because you got your business to a certain level where you don't need to worry about that anymore. Well, you're going back to that.
Yes.
So ultimately, budget, cash flow, structure, operating procedure, and a team of management that doesn't rely on you, systems, and like you said, and I really think we underestimate that. If one business is mixed with the other in terms of operation, budget and everything, you don't know which one's doing well.
No.
So the systems in place for sure is system operation structure ultimately. And I think as the owner, just nothing that you do has to be operational.
No.
You can't get those text messages
Definitely
early at
not.
7 o'clock in the morning to say I'm sick.
Well, you don't even want that only one business, one salon.
Exactly.
But actually that made me think as well that if you're doing it because you think it'll earn you more money, then that's sometimes a dangerous sort of place to fall into as well. Because like you just said, the money that it will take to set it up again and to put, and to drill in all that's needed for a whole new business. You basically are, you've already got your foundation of one. Ultimately, you're opening up a whole new business.
I mean, I always say, if someone says that to me, I say, double bubble, but double trouble.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
But it does work brilliantly for some people. So
Absolutely.
if you can get it right, and you've like you said, you've got everything behind you that you need, and it's solid, and the plan is there as well, the business plan for it, and what the expectations are and what the goals are and the strategy for it, then fine.
And is it that you're having a key person that perhaps, let's say you've got a key hairdresser or a key therapist that wants to have their own business. Are they starting to be more responsible about that second location? You know, is there an element of what you can build from within, which is also sometimes underestimated? We think we're going to start with a brand new team. Not necessarily, but ultimately the second location will take some of your cash flow.
Yeah.
So you've got to be quite solid financially, I feel, before you even consider anything else. So all you have to do now is press the subscribe button and join us every week for an Insight Chat.
And if you have any burning questions that we haven't yet answered, then just pop in the comments below or send us an email and we can include them in one of our weekly chats.
And also we have started this amazing community of like-minded salon owners to join us on a monthly basis with our Insight Chat subscription.
Yeah, on that chat as well, you'll also get access to lots of free downloads and content that can really support you in your business.
And thank you so much for listening.
And we'll see you next time.